Good evening, everyone. I'm Lissy Bastian. It's Thursday, January 16th. Thanks for staying with us. A lot of pushback from the opposition on the Hurricane Dorian Pledge Conference recently held. Progressive Liberal Party Deputy Leader Chester Cooper fielding questions to the government when it comes to the $975 million pledge by the P3 group on financing for various infrastructure projects, with P3's president quoted as saying these projects would be revenue generating in nature and owned by P3 until its money is recouped. Mr. Cooper is questioning on which islands would P3 undertake construction and who would manage these assets. Now, Mr. Cooper, in a press statement, says while it is encouraging that so many around the world are reportedly eager to offer assistance to the Bahamas in the aftermath of Hurricane Dorian, the Progressive Liberal Party is more interested in the details of any potential agreement struck with and or offered by foreign entities. As Shadow Minister of Finance, the Exumas and Ragged Island MP says having squandered tremendous goodwill, the government appears so desperate for good news that it would seek to mislead the Bahamian people. He added that while the public-private partnerships have been proven as an effective mechanism through which to finance government infrastructure around the world, with this administration, there is always concern about the details, adding that while P3 might have pledged to make this amount available, it is a very simple manner to call it what it would be: new borrowing. Of the $975 million pledged by the group, its president also said over $600 million of the available money could be used for various healthcare projects. Mr. Cooper questions if the group is allowed to construct what amounts to the entire healthcare infrastructure, would it ultimately result in new taxes or user fees, as well as how will it factor into the government's long-delayed reconfiguration of NHI. Mr. Cooper contends that this administration has approached this all in an ad hoc and confusing manner. He acknowledged that the restoration of Grand Bahama and Abaco are of paramount importance to the government, but he called on the government to be accountable and provide a full account of the pledge and donations received for Dorian and for Hurricane Irma that struck Ragged Island more than 2 years ago. He says he awaits the details of any agreements to be struck to be debated in Parliament with full transparency. Well, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis using the opportunity at the Bahamas Business Outlook one-day conference to respond to critics of the Hurricane Dorian Pledge Conference. Dr. Minnis, while addressing the business professionals, used the opportunity to speak of the progress being made in the rebuilding of Abaco, the Abaco Keys, and Grand Bahama, which were destroyed by the storm last September, as well as to address the criticisms and concerns recently expressed in the media and on social media regarding a large donation by the P3 group. In the wake of the conference, questions were raised about the donations. Dr. Minnis sought to clarify what was done at the conference and says the government has already prepared specific reconstruction and delivery plans, which have been cross-referenced with the damage and loss assessments. Dr. Minnis added that the government is utilizing quite a number of avenues to address priorities, including its own resources as well as those from pledge donations from domestic and international partners. The categories of pledge funding included concessionary loans, equity, grants, and guarantee financing. Dr. Minnis added that it is up to the government of the Bahamas to carefully review these pledges and decide what is best for the Bahamas and for the people and communities in affected areas. Well, the Free National Movement in a statement also responded to criticisms by opposition leader Philip Davis, who in a recent news interview stated that the pledge conference was nothing more than a public relation exercise. In the statement, the FNM called the opposition leader's comments nonsensical and illogical, adding that it demonstrates his complete and utter lack of fundamental understanding as to how these things work, unclear on the time involved in organizing an event of this magnitude, while simultaneously delivering the largest disaster recovery effort in history, adding that Mr. Davis knows nothing of leadership and delivering for the people he serves. Generating empty headlines and complaining is his leadership style, the statement says. It goes on to say the FNM government will not have a repeat of the old days. Instead, it will remain focused on improving education, restoring infrastructure, and building an economy that works for all Bahamians, and that includes continuing to follow through on its commitment to building a solid and well-funded foundation for the long long-term recovery effort for the victims of Hurricane Dorian, as the pledge conference helped to deliver on. The Free National Movement lauded its Hurricane Dorian Pledge Conference and says there is a glaring difference between the FNM's administration's management of disaster recovery when compared to the PLP's management of Hurricane Matthew in 2016. Climate change has been a topic of great concern worldwide for some time now, from the devastating effects of hurricanes right here in the Bahamas to bushfire crisis that is wreaking havoc in Australia. Well, the Prime Minister is signaling for the nation to be better prepared for threats posed by climate change. During his address at the 2020 Business Outlook Conference, Dr. Minnis told participants that the nation at large must better prepare for threats posed by climate change.
Marsh Harbour was not damaged. Marsh Harbour was mostly destroyed. Dominica was almost utterly destroyed by Hurricane Irma. Ragged Island was not damaged, but Ragged Island too was destroyed. Some small island developing states in the Pacific may be entirely engulfed by rising sea waters and may no longer exist in our lifetime or the lifetime of our children.
Dr. Minnis added that he fears many Bahamians still fail to grasp the nature of and the threat to the country's existence as a low-lying, highly vulnerable archipelago.
While the effects of global climate emergency have been gathering pace for decades, Hurricane Dorian has helped to dramatize the existential threat of climate change to the Bahamas. In this context, this morning, I wish to address the progress we are making in the recovery and the rebuilding of Abaco, the Abaco Keys, and Grand Bahama. The manner in which we rebuild the communities affected by Hurricane Dorian will serve as templates of resilience in the face of the vulnerability and the threats posed by our increasingly warming planet. It is incumbent upon all of us, including the media, the commercial sector, churches, unions, political parties, nonprofits, and others, to help our people to better understand and to prepare for the many threats posed by climate change.
Dr. Minnis added that the government seeks to design strategies for resilience as how to understand the wide-scale and comprehensive nature of the threat of climate change, the gravest challenge facing humanity. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.
This segment of the news was brought to you by Alive.